Hey everyone, I'm Candace.
And I'm Collette.
And this is Hey Cuz. Welcome back. So it is May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So this week, you're getting a 2-for-1 special. We are diving deep into mental health. We are talking about mental health. We're talking about our own experience, our own journeys. So on this episode, Spotlight is on Collette. We're ready to hear your story. So I'm just going to open up with a broad question. What are your thoughts on mental health?
Mental health is very important. I feel like the mind can affect so many parts of your life, your social life, your physical health. And it's something that I really didn't grow up hearing a lot about. It's kind of taboo in Caribbean lifestyle, also in the church. So not until I got older did I actually understand the significance of taking care of your mental health. So I think it's very important to make sure that you have your mind right, you have peace within your life, some type of happiness that you can hold on to that no one can really take away from you. And it just helps. It helps in all areas of your life. It helps with your relationship, how you engage with others, how you empathize with others, how you're able to navigate through your own struggles, coping mechanisms, just healthy life choices. So I take it very seriously. I always say, I'm about preserving my peace. I mean that.
Absolutely. So you kind of touched on my second question, which was, have you ever found it taboo, and why? Like, why specifically did you think that way?
Yeah, taboo one and just family life. Just a go-getter family, I just remember go to church or pray, or you gotta do what you gotta do. Life is happening to everyone. Everyone's struggling. What are you gonna do? Sit down and wallow in it? Just continue going on. Like, get up. There's no such thing as sadness. Just get up. You don't have time to complain. You got stuff to do. I remember hearing a lot of that growing up. So I just thought that it was a weakness to tell people that you're struggling. It was a weakness to feel sadness. Like, it's not okay to feel sad. Like, that's a weakness. Somebody can take advantage of that. Or, you're being ungrateful by feeling sad. I heard a lot of that too in church. So I always thought, okay, it's, I can't go and talk to anybody. Like, they were like, well, you're not crazy. Why do you need to talk to a therapist? Like, I had that stigma in my head of, you have to have some type of deep, severe mental illness in order to talk to a psychologist or a psychologist, mental health counselor, any of the above. So I didn't seek them out up until college.
Good point. So growing up in the Caribbean community, also in the church, you feel like that experience hinders people in general from seeking out help?
I won't say that the Caribbean culture and the church hinder people, because not all Caribbean folks are anti-therapy and not all church folk are anti-therapy. But I do feel that it's very strong. This stigma of not getting help, not talking about what's going on in life, just sweep everything under the rug. And I see it a lot within the culture, but I will not say that if you're in the culture that, yep, that's everyone, that's how they all, it's not true. And I've met a lot of church folks that I'm currently involved with that are pro mental health. Like, they have a whole list, of people that you can go to for counselors. At least my church definitely does endorse that. And I have a lot of friends of Caribbean background, also African background, that one, they're licensed professional counselors themselves. And they push their idea of, making sure you take care of yourself. And, it's becoming more mainstream now. It's not where it needs to be, but I do feel that it's just this thing that's just in the community of just keep going with life, get over it.
So you think it's a new thing, that things are changing?
Yeah, I think it's a new thing. And things are changing. Like, new generation, they're not about this nonsense. They're about doing what they need to do to get help. And I love that. So I think things are starting to change. And I think that change is slowly starting to also affect those previous generations that feel like they're stuck in their ways, like they can't change. I see a lot of that happening now where, all right, well, my grandchild is going to therapy, or they have this, mental health illness, and now there's this desire to want to learn more about it because my loved one is affected. Or I see the peace that my loved one has, and I want to know a little bit more about that. So, all right, I might consider talking to somebody. So I see a lot of that happening now.
That's fact. So maybe we are the younger generation is rubbing off on them a little bit, which is good thing. So tell me a little bit about your journey. When did your journey with mental health start?
So in terms of seeking help, that started in college. But looking back at it, I can say the issues of anger, of sadness, of anxiety were there well into childhood. I would trace it all the way back to the age of 8.
That's specific.
Yeah. But seeking help, that started in college. And I just remember walking around with this heavy load. I was just angry all the time. I was annoyed with people. I was very short fused. Very easy to just, very defensive. I was very much on the defense. And I remember my friends in college just telling me, Collette, you've been a little angry lately. Like, we're kind of afraid to be around you. We don't know exactly what to say. Like, just a little, I don't know how to navigate around you. And these are close friends of mine. And I remember thinking, my own friends are afraid to be around me? What? And I couldn't understand it, but it was something that sort of, it made me think, made me reflect on what I was doing, my actions and everything. Because I'm like, if my own friends are afraid to be around me, there's something wrong. Like, this is my inner circle, and I take what they say seriously because they're seeing something that I'm not seeing. But at the same time, I'm also feeling it a little bit. So you're like, there's a counselor on campus. You should probably go there and just, talk about whatever's going on. And I thought to myself, yeah, okay, whatever. There's a counselor on campus. It's going to evaluate me, call me crazy, or probably use it against me to try to kick me out the school, label me some type of, mental issue. And I was very skeptical. But I also knew I was walking around with this anger and it needed to go. So I said, I'll go, I'll check it out. And I did go. And I remember being afraid. Like, our college was very good with, they had a whole health center. So you signed in and they didn't know whether or not you were going to the counselor, whether or not you were going for a checkup, vaccine, whatever, they just knew, you're going to a health center. You can go to health center for anything. You cut yourself and get a Band-Aid, whatever. But I remember writing my name down and like, okay, I don't want anybody to look at me, watch me, see where I'm going, and whether I'm going right or left. But I went, and I remember sitting there in the little waiting room, and she had a little Zen garden, a little sand with little small rakes. And there was a waterfall, and there was this calming music. Mind you, I'm going for anger issues. And I remember just sort of melting into the chair. This is before I even met the therapist. And I was just happy to be in the waiting room. Like, that could have been all I got.
You had that feng shui going for you.
It did. Funny enough, I had the exact things in my apartment, the Zen garden and the waterfall, because I remember how relaxing that was. But I did speak to her, and I was still skeptical, so I didn't say everything at that first appointment. I just gave little snippets. And it was really related to what was going on in school life, my frustrations with school. I wouldn't touch on the hard things that were really bothering me. I didn't really know her. This is a stranger. I'm not going to pour out my life to you. So I just touched on the little things. And, she met me where I was. She didn't push anything. And she, I remember for weeks, she would offer me either coffee or tea. And I would say no every single time. I knew she was trying to relax me, get me to that level of comfort. I would say no every single time. It took me about a month and a half before I was like, all right, I'll have a little tea.
A month and a half. Sheesh.
I had a full-on wall. But it was good. And after, I would say, I'm not gonna lie, it took me 3 months to start talking about my family life. And
you talk about me not opening up. You tough cookie, man.
Yeah, about 3 months. And it was funny, like, up until that point, I didn't realize how some of the stuff that just happened in childhood was just not normal. And a lot of things seem to be normal within, like, the Caribbean community because we all go through it, but just because we all go through it doesn't mean it's normal. Um, and I speak to the Caribbean community because that's all I can speak to. That's what I grew up in. But just the interaction between parent and child, discipline, and all that type of stuff, like the yelling and screaming. And I know that's not exclusive to the Caribbean community. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about what I experienced and how it affected me. And I remember talking about that to her and just like the yelling and the name calling and all that, and how that affected me and how I was constantly fighting that, and how that was a trigger for me. I never understood why, joking around. You remember growing up, people call you names, would it be stupid or whatever. It could be your friends just messing around. Oh, you're stupid, But for me, I would get really defensive when people said stuff like that. And it's because I was getting it at home.
Mhm.
I was getting it at home from people who said that they loved and cared about me. So to me, it wasn't a ha ha moment. It was, what do you just call me? And I was a big trigger. And, the therapist was just like, yeah, it's not normal. Like, you don't have to accept those names. That's not your identity. It was sort of like my first revelation of like, you're right. I don't have to fight somebody every time they say something like that. That is not my identity. I just need to detach. So that was sort of the cycle of like therapy and detaching from things that just were not true. That was the beginning of therapy for me.
Yeah, that good therapist there. Um, so are you still in therapy?
Yeah. So after college, yeah, I went home after I graduated, went back home and I was working my professional career and still living with my parents, which was a hard adjustment to go from dorm life to now, okay, back with the whole rules. And there was a dynamic where it was, okay, here's my adult child, but I was still sort of being treated as a child and trying to fight that one, which we talked about in a previous video.
Mhm.
I can look at that. So I started back up in therapy with the same therapist from college, which I was very grateful for because I was alumni at this point. She didn't charge me. So I was
That's awesome.
very, very grateful.
Yeah, because usually they cut you off. So that's good.
Yeah. So, and we only did it for a little while. I want to say probably 2 months tops. And then I stopped and life got hard. And I decided to, you know what, I needed to just get out the house. So I pursued traveling physical therapy, which is completely amazing. But what pushed me to do that was I just wanted to get out the house. And now that was a 2.5 journey of just doing that. But now you're talking about every 3 months you're in a different state, new territory, have to learn how to make friends again, have to learn the area. You're pretty much starting off in a new place, so you're alone. Loneliness is another one of my triggers that I learned. So one assignment in particular was just very hard for me. It was in the middle of the winter as well, so it was cold, it was gloomy, very far away from friends, family, and everything. And I went into a serious depression. And I've had moments of sadness before, but I want to say that was the first time I can pinpoint and say that was depression, because I called in from work. I did not get out the bed. I did not eat over 24 hours, and there was
Mm.
no desire to have any food. There was just no desire to do anything. I just did not want to be. And I didn't realize the impact of just like sunlight, like where I was sitting, it was very dull. Like I did not get a lot of sunlight in. It was sort of like on a basement level, so you couldn't really get light like that. And like I didn't realize how that can really affect you. I know they say seasonal affective disorder and all that, but I didn't realize the seriousness of it. Um, and I just did not want to continue with life. I wasn't doing anything to actually harm myself, but the thoughts were there. I wanted to die. I did not want to be living. I just felt like I didn't want to be here. And I couldn't pinpoint why I felt that way either.
Mhm.
So naturally, the same thoughts of what I grew up with in relation to mental health and the stigma of weakness and all that. I didn't want to reach out. I didn't want to seek help. I had a friend, a really good friend at the time, that was like, hey, I don't like the way you sound. I don't like that it takes me so many calls just to reach you, and you're there by yourself. I don't like that. You need to go see a counselor. And I was like, I really don't want to go, because I know where I feel right now is they're gonna, probably lock me up in a psych ward or something, put me on a hold. She's like, no, and even if they do, I'd rather you be on a hold than dead. So she actually called and made an appointment for me, gave me the place, the time, and I showed up. And I remember, getting to the counselor. I looked like hell because I wasn't taking care of myself. And, she was able to just go, hey, this is normal. You're in a completely new place. You don't have anybody here. It's been snowing and raining for the past couple of weeks. You work 10-hour shifts. You're going in when it's dark. You're coming out when it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, you're going through this.
Yeah.
And it took that to really realize, oh, okay, like I'm not alone. Because that's what we, go through. That's at least what I went through, was feeling like, oh, it's just me. I'm just crazy. No one else is going through this. This is just me.
I can relate to that. I never connected that, like working 12 hours, going in, it's dark, and when you leave, it's dark. Like for probably like years, I never thought about that. Like, I don't see sunlight. That can have a big impact on you. You're right.
Yeah.
I do have a question
Mm-hmm.
that I just also connected some other dots. Do you think that the taboo within your communities growing up prevented you from recognizing the signs of depression? Because if a therapist is looking at you, they like your textbook depressed. Like it would not take them 10 seconds to call that out. But like, is it the fact that you grew up in such that mindset that you would never have connected those dots?
Absolutely. I just remember being, having moments of sadness, and I've felt feelings of like helplessness before in my life when I was younger, but like I said, it didn't last as long as that time did when I was on my assignment. So I never thought it was depression. I just thought I'm just going, I'm just a little sad. I remember going to church one time, and I must have had that same feeling, that same face. And I remember one of the ladies in the church was like, why are you so melancholy? What do you have to be sad about? You have two parents, you have a roof over your head, you have clothes, you have food. Why are you so sad? Don't let the devil get away. I just remember thinking, like, why didn't you ask me what's wrong versus giving me a whole lecture of why I look the way I look? So I wasn't going to say anything because no one else cared to ask. It was just, you don't have a right to be sad. You have everything. People don't have. They have real reasons to be sad. You don't. That's
It's like a habit of silencing emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think it's because they're uncomfortable, but it's also not fair to the person that's going through it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's unfortunate that happens. So I was polling my friends and coworkers about things that I could ask. So another thing that goes along with depression, of course, is, I guess, anxiety, also substance abuse.
Mm.
Do you think you've ever struggled with substance abuse?
Yes. Alcohol was my best friend throughout college and most of my 20s.
Mm.
Um, College was like my intro to it. I didn't grow up in a household where I had parents drinking, so I wasn't exposed to alcohol. Um, but in college, you party, you go out, you have a few drinks, blah, 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 blah. And what I noticed was when I got to a certain point of drinks, everything started to just feel a little lighter. I wasn't stressing about the test that I knew I had coming up. I wasn't stressing about the breakup I just had. I wasn't sad about the yelling match I just had with my mother 2 hours ago. It was just, I felt like I was on this high.
Mm.
And everything was just like gone. Problems were just gone. I was just happy.
Yeah.
And alcohol affects people different ways. Some people get angry, whatever the case may be. I just felt like I was on this high, and the fact that I couldn't feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know what to do with these emotions. I was never taught what to do with these emotions. This is also um, before counseling and while I was going to counseling college. And I just noticed that when I drank, I didn't have to feel, I was numb to these emotions that I didn't want to feel because they were painful. I didn't know what to do with them. So I wanted to stuff them. Alcohol helped me do that. So like I said, this was all of college and most of my 20s. I'm only 30.
Did you recognize at the time that it was a problem?
No. I didn't realize that I was using it as a crutch to stuff. And I had some friends every now and then they'll go, you know, getting kind of out of control with this drinking. Like we spent most of the night watching to make sure you're alive. You need to tone it down. But at the same time, they were also the same friends. Like, you know, you had a tough take. Come on, I'm gonna buy you a drink. And there's not bashing them at all. They're not therapists, they're not counselors, they don't know either. But at the time, you're going through something. And I mean, I see it a lot, even still today, right? You know, you're having a hard time, let's just drink it up. Or let's just do this. And for me, I was really going through stuff. So you're telling me to drink, I'm not gonna turn it down because I already don't want to feel what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So you're enabling this habit. But like I said, I don't hold that against them at all because they didn't know. I wasn't telling them what's going on either. I wasn't telling them that, okay, you know, this bottle's in my cabinet that I have and I drink alone because I don't want to feel stuff. They just thought when we're going out, that's when I'm drinking. There was a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. It's a common coping mechanism among young people. And I think the crutch of it is hidden in the party culture. It's kind of like expected. You're in college and you rage out, but it's like, okay, where do you draw the line between that college partying and that college and the drinking to where you're trying to hide from or run from something. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So maybe, you know, whoever's watching this, they might look within and question, am I just turning up or am I hiding something? Do I got bottles in my closet?
Right. And it's so funny because now, I don't party. It's not just because I got tired of it. I don't put myself in the situation of like someone going, all right, let's have a drink, or let's do this, or let's do that. And I also have very strict rules with alcohol because I know how I treated it in the past. So one, I don't keep it around, and two, if I'm going out before I order anything, which I only drink certain alcohols as well, my question to myself every single time is, do I need this drink? And if at any point it's a yes, I'm not ordering it because it shouldn't be a situation in life where I need this drink. You know, it's because I want to have it or I'm just relaxing, whatever. But if I feel like I need it, like I can't go without it, I'm not going to order it. There's something going on there why I feel like I need it. And I need to address that issue way before alcohol is even involved. And I have people that hold me accountable to it as well. So I have my own system in place with alcohol because I know that I was very quick to use it as a crutch. And I'm very selective of the people I allow in my life because that is a boundary for me. Does not mean that I can't be around somebody that's drinking it up, you know, but I need my boundaries respected. And if they're not respected, I'm very quick to cut somebody out of my life because of it, because I know the detriment that it had on my life. So I'm very strict with like my rules with that, just because I know I'm very quick to use it as a crutch.
That is wise. The key thing that you did bring up that I want people to know is the accountability. You need to have people in your life who can and will, most importantly, will hold you accountable. Because I think, you know, their friend groups, there's a lot of like-minded people, a lot of yes men. So it's important to have those people who are going to check you. They're going to pull that glass out your hand and chuck it in the trash or whatever it takes. So I'm glad that you did mention that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I do have this last question that's, because you did cover a lot of my stuff organically. It's a broad question, but I have this quote that I learned at a leadership camp that I love, and I mentioned it a lot. It's by Audre Lorde. It says, if you do not define yourself for yourself, you will be defined by others for their use and to your detriment. So the question, I thought it was a very interesting question. I was like, what do you know for sure?
About myself?
About mental health, about the journey, about yourself, all the above. What do you know for sure?
Okay. Well, one I know for sure is that I'm human, and that is okay. I'm human, which means I'm imperfect. So therefore, there is no such thing as perfection. I will make mistakes. Does that mean I must stop striving to be a better me at all times? But it does mean that I need to break this whole idea of there's a finish line and I'm going to get through it. No, it's just going to be an onward journey up until the day I die. That gives me grace for myself. So when I do mess up, I'm not going down and wallowing in shame and feeling like I'm the worst thing in the world. Like I'm going to mess up. I'm going to mess up with how I interact with others. I'm going to mess up with mistakes I make in my own life. Give myself grace and also to give others grace because we're all going through some type of struggle. And for me, being a big empath that I am, it helps me to be able to give that grace to others, even those that, you know, might be attacking me verbally, just to go, well, I don't know what's going on in their life, but something's going on because they don't know me well enough to lash out like that. So something's going on. And just going through counseling and just learning about the process, learning about the power of thoughts, whether they're positive or negative thoughts, and how to just reroute that and sort of identify your triggers, be aware of them as they pop up, the connection that they have, where they come from, where they're really rooted in, so that I can respond better to when I'm put in a situation when one of those triggers arise. And just to know that there is a little Collette. She is there. She experienced hurt. So does current Collette, but I got to reassure her that I got this. I know that you want to sort of drive my choices and my decisions, but I got this. People let you down in the past, but I got us. I got us. You're going to be okay. And to just reassure her that, but to allow myself to feel, that is my biggest thing that I can definitely say I take away is just, it is okay to feel emotion. It's okay to feel sadness. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be anxious. Like, feel those things, sit in it, but don't stay there.
Yep.
Don't stay there. That's the biggest thing that I would say I would take away from. Mental health is very important. Counseling works. I've just become a better person through working therapy and continuing to work through therapy. And it just reminds me that, okay, it's gonna be okay. And for the times that it's not over, because my mind loves to make everything a catastrophe. And it's not until sitting in therapy and having a therapist go, okay, so everything, I didn't realize how everything always relates to death. And it sounds crazy, sounds funny. Like everything for me, it'll spiral and spiral until it just, okay, it's death. Like it's all gonna lead to death. And one time my counselor, she just looked at me and she goes, why don't you just sit there? Why don't we go there? Let's just say you make this decision and it leads to hospitalization or death or whatever. Let's go there and let's sit in that. And I had no choice but to sit in it. So I had to then really process it. And it really minimized it to what it really is. It made it real for me. Because for me, I get so anxious sometimes that I'm now out of reality and I'm thinking thoughts that is like, okay, this is not even in the realm of possibility. And she makes it where she grounds me back down to earth. So it works. It works, guys. It works. That's what I know.
It does work. Yeah, my therapist says you need to feel in order to heal. As a poet, you know, I like rhyming things. So that sticks in my head. And also have moments, but make sure they don't turn into monuments. Mm-hmm. So I guess to wrap this up, what are 3 things that you want to tell our audience pertaining to, it could be you, to them, to mental health in general? 3 things you want them to know.
I want to say break the stigma. Take mental health seriously, just as seriously as you would anything else in life, a doctor's appointment, a job interview, you know, your child's well-being, paying your bills. Take it just as seriously as everything else, because it can and it will make or break you. Your mind controls way too much. So if that's not well, it will interfere with everything else that you're doing in life. So go out and seek help. Don't be afraid or ashamed of it. I myself am coming from a place of not wanting to be in touch with emotions to being one big mush ball, which I love and I embrace now. I would also say definitely do the work. Don't go in with the expectation of this person's gonna wave their wand and cure you. That's not gonna happen. They're just here to equip you with the tools, but you have to do the work. And you gotta be willing to do the work. That means looking into parts that might be very painful, looking into parts of your life that you don't want to relive, but you will have to in order to get a hold of it. Um, and it's a journey. You know, you're not. It's not a destination. You're not gonna arrive and go check box. I finished. I'm cured. I'm perfect now. That's never gonna be a thing. It's just this constant journey because life is constantly happening, and those triggers will pop up. They absolutely will pop up. So don't ever feel like, okay, I went to therapy, I'm good, I'm done. That should be something you continuously check in with every now and then just to make sure that you're still very much well mentally and emotionally. Um, and the third one is just more of like an affirmation for whoever's listening. If no one has told you this today or ever in your life, I just want to tell you that you are definitely enough. You are definitely loved. You're definitely important. You have purpose on this earth. And if you are ever thinking that you don't and you feel helpless, like you just want to not be here or end it all, that I beg you not to, no matter what the circumstances, because your life can be the very thing that helps someone else. Your story can be the very thing that helps someone else. And I don't know you personally, or maybe I do, but I want you here. And you need to do whatever it is that you need to do in order to pick yourself out of that rut so that you can reclaim your life and continue to live it, no matter the circumstance, because you're definitely enough and you're definitely worth it. Your life is worth it. I don't care what anyone else has told you. I'm telling you, your life is worth it.
So said, so shall it be. That is Dr. Collette's journey with mental health. It was great hearing your story as my cousin. I've learned a lot. I mean, we're 30 now. We've known each other all our lives, been in the same class, and in each other's face our whole lives. But you can always, I always say, learn something new every day. So we're always getting to know each other. And that just proves you never know what someone's going through. So take those affirmations. This has been Hey Cuz. Peace and love. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening.